31 blank ivory cards sat perfectly stacked on my kitchen island. No check marks, no notice, just 31 silent refusals on my wedding day. Exactly 4 people sat on my side of the aisle. The rest of the chairs stayed completely empty. My family chose to skip my wedding so they could fly to Miami. They dropped $15,000 on a lavish first birthday party for my sister's golden retriever, a literal dog. They drank champagne next to a cupcake tower to prove exactly where I ranked. But here is what none of them knew about the quiet. Flannel-wearing man standing at the altar with me. 34 days after we said our vows, his company was acquired for $2.5 billion. And the people who could not spare gas money for my wedding suddenly left me 215 missed calls. I am 32 years old, and I work as a high school counselor. Every single day, I deal with teenagers who scream, throw tantrums, and demand absolute attention when the world does not revolve around them. That career choice was no accident. It was 30 years of exposure therapy. It perfectly trained me to handle my mother, Catherine. Catherine operated a mental ledger that defied all human logic. She demanded absolute emotional submission from her children. In her mind, she tracked every microscopic favor she ever did for me. She would hold a ride to soccer practice from 2008 over my head for a decade. Yet, she completely erased her own massive betrayals. Independence was not a milestone in our house. It was an act of treason. When I stopped needing her permission to live my life, she stopped treating me like a daughter. Then there was my sister, Sierra, and her husband, Trevor. They were the golden couple of our hometown in Ohio. Trevor was an arrogant crypto entrepreneur who constantly bragged about his investments. The truth was entirely different. His business was secretly hemorrhaging cash, drowning in toxic debt. But Catherine was obsessed with projecting flawless wealth to her country club friends. She constantly bailed Trevor out, co-signing his loans to maintain the illusion of a wealthy, successful son-in-law, all while criticizing my self-sufficiency. My husband, Marcus, ran a green technology firm out of a drafty warehouse in North Carolina. He drove a 12-year-old truck. He spoke quietly. He listened more than he talked. Catherine dismissed him the moment she met him. He did not wear designer watches or brag about his portfolio. So to her, he was entirely useless. When Marcus and I announced our wedding, we kept it simple. We planned an $11,000 self-funded ceremony in Charlotte. We paid for everything ourselves. We refused to let Catherine dictate the guest list. The venue or the catering deprived of financial control. Catherine took our boundaries as a personal insult. A budget wedding did not fit her social climbing narrative. She decided to punish me. The RSVPs began arriving in the mail. Every single card from my side of the family was blank. The silence was deafening. I stared at the growing stack of thick ivory paper on my dining table. My chest tightened, but I forced my breathing to slow down. I opened my laptop and started investigating. A sympathetic cousin finally broke ranks and sent me a screenshot of the family group chat. The truth glowed on my phone screen. Catherine had orchestrated a deliberate family-wide boycott. Her text message was sitting right there in plain English. She wrote that my wedding was not worth the gas money. She ordered everyone to decline, to mask Trevor's failing marriage and project fake wealth to the extended family. Catherine funded the Miami dog party on high-interest credit cards. She demanded the family fly to Florida on the exact same weekend as my wedding to prove where their loyalties lie. The two events unfolded simultaneously. I walked down the aisle in a small chapel in Charlotte, looking at 4 loyal friends sitting in the pews. Meanwhile, my phone buzzed with social media updates. Catherine and Sierra were posting dozens of photos from a Miami beachfront rental. They posed in matching outfits next to a $1,500 custom dog cake. They smiled for the camera, holding champagne flutes, completely unbothered by the daughter they abandoned. They broke my heart that afternoon. But standing there with Marcus, reciting our vows in a nearly empty room, the last remaining thread of my childhood guilt finally snapped. Blood meant absolutely nothing. I stopped mourning the family I never had. I packed away the blank RSVP cards and prepared for the inevitable moment they realized Marcus was not just a poor IT guy. Day 34 arrived. The acquisition finalized. Marcus's green tech company was bought out for $2.5 billion. Forbes published the article at noon. The financial shockwave hit our hometown in Ohio by 12:15. The flip was instantaneous. My phone screen lit up and stayed illuminated for 3 straight hours. 215 missed calls, dozens of text messages. Catherine left a sickly sweet voicemail. Her voice dripped with fake honey, completely gaslighting me about the wedding absent. She claimed they were just so busy with Sierra's dog and that they missed me terribly. She said they were packing their bags to come visit their favorite son-in-law. Trevor did not even bother with fake apologies. He shamelessly emailed Marcus a 40-page pitch deck, asking for a $2 million bailout for his sinking crypto business. He used the subject line, "Family investment opportunity." I sat at my kitchen counter listening to Catherine's voicemail play on speaker. Marcus poured 2 cups of coffee and slid one toward me. We did not yell. We did not celebrate. I picked up my phone and typed a single cold text message to my mother and sister. "You made your choice in Miami. Do not contact us again." I hit send and blocked their numbers, infuriated by the rejection. Catherine lost her mind. Deprived of the billionaire payout she felt entitled to, and drowning in the high-interest debt from the Miami trip. She escalated. She discovered through mutual acquaintances that Marcus and I were hosting a high society charity auction in Charlotte the following month. She decided to force my hand publicly. The ballroom of the Charlotte Hotel was packed with 300 elite guests, local media, and business leaders. The evening was running perfectly until the main doors swung open. Catherine, Sierra, and Trevor pushed their way into the lobby. Catherine bypassed the professional security team by utilizing a weapon she had perfected over 3 decades. She approached a junior check-in attendant, sobbing hysterically, claiming there was a severe family medical emergency and she needed her daughter immediately. The panicked young attendant led her through. Catherine stormed the ballroom floor. She did not look for a private corner. She walked straight into the center of the room, surrounded by our colleagues and investors. She began a loud, theatrical crying session. She wailed that her newly minted billionaire daughter had abandoned her elderly mother to starve. She played the weeping victim, expecting me to shrink under the social pressure. She assumed I would write her a check just to make the public embarrassment stop. My high school counselor instincts took over. I handed my champagne glass to Marcus. I walked slowly across the ballroom floor. The entire room went dead silent. Hundreds of eyes locked onto us. Catherine's sobbing hitched. She looked at me with eager, greedy eyes. waiting for me to surrender. I leaned in close. My voice was calm, steady, and loud enough for only the two of us to hear. I told her that she was standing in a room full of people who actually worked for a living, and her performance was pathetic. I told her that her fake tears would not pay off her credit card debt. Catherine's face flushed crimson. The fake sadness vanished, replaced by pure, venomous rage. She opened her mouth to scream, but our private security team was already there. Two large men in dark suits stepped seamlessly behind her and Trevor. They escorted the three of them out of the ballroom and into the cold, pouring rain. There was no screaming match. There was no dramatic presentation on a projector screen. There was only the quiet, humiliating reality of being thrown out of a building they did not belong in. That silent dismissal drove Catherine completely insane. 2 weeks later, she launched what she thought was her ultimate weapon. Driven by spite and Trevor's looming bankruptcy, Catherine hired a sleazy attorney and filed a highly publicized filial responsibility lawsuit against me. She claimed she was completely destitute, drowning in medical and living expenses, and legally entitled to a portion of Marcus's wealth for elder support. She leaked the filing to a local tabloid. She thought she had trapped me in a public relations nightmare. She thought I would settle out of court to protect my husband's new corporate image. She was wrong. Her lawsuit was a fatal, irreversible mistake. By suing me for financial abandonment, Catherine legally opened her own finances to corporate discovery. Marcus's legal team was comprised of ruthless, meticulous corporate attorneys. They did not play emotional games. They dealt in paper trails. To prove she needed filial support, Catherine was mandated by a judge to submit 3 years of bank statements and credit card ledgers under the penalty of perjury. The corporate lawyers audited her submissions line by line. They spotted a massive anomaly buried in her claimed living expenses. The $15,000 Miami dog party was not paid for with personal funds. It was charged directly to a corporate credit card. Because Catherine was the financial guarantor for Trevor's failing crypto LLC, the lawyers legally subpoenaed the business ledgers. The truth was documented in black and white. Trevor and Catherine had fraudulently categorized the Miami beach house, the champagne, and the custom dog cake as a corporate marketing summit to avoid paying taxes. My legal team did not just get the filial responsibility lawsuit dismissed with prejudice. They forwarded the entire discovery packet directly to the Internal Revenue Service. The hammer came down fast and hard. Trevor's LLC was audited. The federal government hit him with massive tax fraud penalties and back taxes he could not pay. His business collapsed overnight because Catherine had arrogantly co-signed all of Trevor's business loans to maintain her country club image. The creditors came for her next. The bank foreclosed on her beautiful, sprawling home in Oak Haven. Her social standing evaporated the moment the foreclosure signs hit the front lawn. With zero bailout money coming from me, they were completely out of options. Sierra, Trevor, and Catherine were forced to pack up whatever they could fit into a rented moving van. They moved into a cramped 2-bedroom apartment on the edge of town. 3 deeply toxic, miserable people suddenly trapped in a tiny space together, with no one left to blame but themselves. Their hostility turned entirely inward. I received the final legal briefing on a quiet Sunday morning. I sat on my back patio, holding a mug of coffee, watching the wind blow through the trees in our backyard. Marcus sat next to me, reading the newspaper. I opened my phone, permanently blocked their numbers, and deleted their contact information. The ledger was finally closed. When you walk away from the people who raised you, society tries to make you the villain. People who have never survived a toxic household will look at you with pity and tell you that blood is thicker than water. They will tell you that you only get one mother. They will demand that you forgive, forget, and keep setting yourself on fire to keep your abusers warm. I am here to tell you that society is wrong. DNA is an accident of biology. Loyalty is a deliberate action. Narcissists do not view their children as human beings. They view us as utility investments in mirrors. When you stop reflecting their control, you are discarded. When you suddenly acquire value, you are reclaimed. I learned 3 brutal rules from the ashes of my biological family. I use them to protect my peace, and I want you to use them to protect yours. Rule number 1 is the loyalty metric. People who only love you when you are useful do not actually love you. They love the utility you provide. They love the money you give them, the image you project for them, or the punching bag you become for their insecurities. Stop trying to buy genuine affection from emotionally bankrupt people. The exchange rate will always leave you empty. Rule number 2 is the power of silence and documentation. Never fight a toxic person with emotion. When you yell, cry, or beg, you give them exactly what they want. You give them a reaction they can twist and weaponize, fight them with absolute silence, and bury them with receipt. The truth does not need to raise its voice to win. Rule number 3 is the price of the toll bridge. Cutting off toxic family members is not a punishment you inflict upon them. It is a toll you pay for your own peace. It is the cost of admission to a healthy, quiet life. Sometimes the price feels impossibly high. Sometimes the guilt tries to creep in during the quiet hours of the night. But I promise you, the peace waiting on the other side of that bridge is worth every single penny. I built my own family. My family consists of a husband who stood by me when 31 chairs were empty. My family consists of friends who drove 4 hours to watch me say my vows without expecting a single thing in return. We do not keep ledgers. We do not test each other's loyalty with absurd financial demands. We just show up. If you are sitting at an empty table right now, staring at blank RSVP cards, or listening to voicemails that make your stomach turn, I need you to listen to me. You are not broken. You are not unlovable. You are just sitting at the wrong table. You have the power to stand up, push your chair in, and walk out of that room. You are allowed to build a table of your own. If you have ever had to build your chosen family from scratch because your blood relatives failed you, drop a comment below and tell me how you finally found your peace. Your story might be the exact blueprint someone else needs to finally pack their bags. Subscribe to this channel if you need a daily reminder to hold your boundaries like steel. Protect your peace. Build your own table, and I will see you in the next one. I know exactly what you are screaming at the screen right now. You are watching this and yelling. Why on earth did Courtney wait 32 years to cut off a mother who treated her like a disposable backup plan? Why did she endure decades of quiet disrespect before finally closing the door? You might think she was just being naive or that she lacked a backbone. She was neither. Courtney was trapped in what psychologists call the slot machine effect, formerly known as intermittent reinforcement. Toxic parents are incredibly dangerous because they do not give you absolutely nothing. If they gave you nothing, walking away would be easy. Instead, they give you crumbs. A ride to soccer practice in 2008. A rare, fleeting compliment. A fake smile in front of the neighbors. As a child, you keep pulling the lever. exhausting yourself, hoping for the jackpot of genuine, unconditional love. You never get the jackpot, but you get just enough pennies to keep you playing the game. Courtney was not weak. Her nervous system was simply addicted to the hope of finally being seen. But when the illusion finally shattered, Courtney stopped playing the game and executed an absolute masterclass in financial and legal self-defense. Let's break down her street smart moves. First, building the case. When Courtney saw the brutal group chat messages, she did not call her mother crying. She took screenshots. She saved the blank ivory response card. In the real world, emotional anger eventually fades, but cold documentation is bulletproof. When the time came, she did not have to argue with her mother's fake tears. She just projected the receipts on a 20-foot screen. Second, the audit strategy. When Catherine filed that frivolous filial responsibility lawsuit to extort Marcus's $2.5 billion buyout, she expected Courtney to panic. Most people would quietly settle out of court just to make the embarrassing public relations nightmare go away. Courtney did the exact opposite. She let her corporate attorneys open the books. Scammers, especially toxic relatives, rely entirely on you being too emotional or too embarrassed to check the math. The moment the legal discovery exposed that the $15,000 dog party was charged to a corporate credit card, Catherine's fake victimhood instantly turned into federal tax fraud. Finally, the buyout. A toxic family will always try to bill you for your own freedom. They wanted Courtney to buy her way out of the drama with a massive settlement check. Instead, she paid her toll in absolute silence. She walked away, kept her money, and let their own catastrophic financial greed bankrupt. For a long time, I thought the empty chairs at my wedding would haunt me forever. I thought every anniversary would bring back the image of those blank ivory cards. That quiet aisle, that painful little row of people who actually showed up while the rest of my family laughed beside a dog birthday cake in Miami. But time has a strange way of revealing what pain was trying to teach you. Those empty chairs were not proof that I was unloved. They were proof that the wrong people had finally stopped pretending. They saved me years of confusion. They showed me exactly who saw my joy as an inconvenience, who treated my heart like a bargaining chip, and who only remembered I existed when my husband's name appeared beside a billion-dollar headline. The silence after I blocked them did not feel peaceful at first. It felt unfamiliar. I kept expecting another voicemail, another accusation, another demand disguised as family. But slowly, the quiet became something I trusted. It became mornings with Marcus, coffee on the porch, friends dropping by without needing anything, laughter that did not come with a hidden bill. That is what real family feels like. Not pressure, not guilt, not emotional accounting. Real family does not make you audition for love. Real family does not skip your wedding and then rush back when your life becomes profitable. Real family shows up before the money, before the headlines, before there is anything to gain. Catherine wanted me to believe that walking away made me cold. She was wrong. Walking away made me honest. I stopped confusing blood with loyalty. I stopped mistaking obligation for love. I stopped leaving a seat open for people who had already chosen not to sit with me when it mattered most. The chairs at my wedding were empty for a reason. They made room for peace, room for chosen family, room for a life where love is not measured in debt, control, or usefulness. So if you are staring at your own empty chairs right now, do not let them convince you that you are alone. Sometimes the people who refuse to show up are giving you the clearest gift they will ever give. They are showing you who they are. Believe them. Then build a table where no one has to beg for a place. Here is the ultimate verdict. Your shared DNA is not a binding financial contract. And guilt is the absolute worst investment strategy on the planet. If someone only remembers they love you the moment your net worth spikes, their love is a liability. Cut the liability. Have you ever had to perform a toxic audit on your own relatives? Drop your story in the comments below. Hit that subscribe button to protect your peace and your wallet. And I will see you in the next video.